Hi, this is Jeffrey Kerr Financial Group. Today is Wednesday, March 4, 2026. So a lot going on, obviously, with the geopolitical, the war, and then, things going on in the financial markets. Yesterday, I thought it was pretty important that, after Monday, the initial shock of what's going on, that the markets continue to sell off, but then stabilized and kind of rallied into the afternoon and then into the close. And one of the things I was looking at and one of the key levels was 6,800 on the S&P 500. Since about November, this S&P 500 has had this trading range of 6,800 on the low end. It would go down to the 6,750 and like that, but bounce back. And then 7,000 on the upside. And it was just interesting, I think, that it got down below the 6,800 yesterday morning and then rallied back. Again, closed lower on the day, but we captured 6,800 and went a little bit above it. And so I don't know if it's a sign or has any connection with the geopolitical and the headlines and the war or anything. But again, it just seems like maybe the traders and the institutions defending that 6,800, and that could pave a way, for higher prices at some point. But again, with everything going on, is a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknowns. And how you kind of bring that into the market is really tough. Even David Solomon, the CEO at Goldman Sachs, is scratching his head saying that the market reaction surprised him. I think it surprised a lot of people. And again, as I continue to point out regularly, that once a price trend is started, a lot of times algorithms, dealer flows, and momentum traders, continue the trend, whatever it is, regardless of whatever the headlines are. A couple other things, oil this morning stabilized, gold is bouncing back with and interest rates. I want to point out moving a little higher, and I've seen some near-term forecasts for the inflation number going up in the next few months because of the oil price rise. So that if the interest rates stay at a little bit elevated levels, not that it's terrible, but it does now have increased costs for borrowing and could be somewhat of a headwind for the economy and for businesses. And then lastly, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin recaptured 70,000. I don't know if it's a bottom. That's a tough market to kind of figure out, but it stopped going down and did recapture 70,000. So we'll leave it at that. We'll be back on Friday. Unemployment numbers for February should be out, and we'll discuss that and anything else going on with the markets. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back on Friday. Goodbye.